project management, and definitely allow us to do so much more. If you think projects and you think that you have to change your mindset, and almost anything could be considered a project. So my passion is really project management, projects in all different aspects, whether it's a project in professional life, where it can be running projects from facilities management, information technology, education projects, and of course, personal projects, everything. It's a series. I look at life as being a series of projects, both professional and both personal, professional and personal. So me saying all of that, in terms of project management now, in order to be a successful project manager, you have to have a way to think, we would say, a way to think. And you might also look at it that it depends on the stage that you are in life, right? In terms of project management, if you are entry-level project manager, or if you are a project manager with many years of experience, of course, you may look at the project and you may run it differently for success. But whether you are at the beginning stage or middle stage or many years of experience, we are looking to make our project a success. We love to say in project management, we are generalizing specialists. Once you understand projects, you'd be able to run any type of project. Once you understand the project management mindset or the project management thinking. So this is the whole purpose of today's conversation, really. It's really to introduce a mindset for project management. As I said, many of us here are project management professionals, and I love to hear your opinion as we go throughout the conversation. Whether you are in project management or not, we want to hear from you. So please permit me to share a project management presentation now. So let me just share it. Hope everybody's seen it. Just tell me yes, anything you want to say.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm going to share it. I'm going to start. Great. So project management mindset, part of our Lunch and Learn series. We have been here for the past couple of months, every Tuesday on Caribbean Connect, where different thought leaders in different industry come and we do presentations and we get people very heavily involved in whatever the talk is. And this is what learning and development is all about, right? So we are very happy that you have been joining us here from 12 to 1 on Tuesdays. And again, we do a night session at 8 p.m., I should say, a fireside chat, where we bring again many different thought leaders in different topics. So keep viewing Caribbean Connect all the time for these Lunch and Learn and fireside chats, all promoting learning and development. Project management mindset. This is what the conversation is about. A lot of us may be skeptical. I had a couple of persons call me and said, "Oh, Shivani, what is mindset? What is mindset for a project manager? What is mindset for a project manager?" And I'm seeing a couple of persons there on the call, and I know they're going to ask this a couple of questions already. I look forward for it. So what exactly is the project management mindset? Project management mindset is the ability to take on a project or task and complete it successfully. It's just not about doing your job, but making sure your job went well. It means being organized. Gosh, people are going to say project management is about being organized. It's about having good time management skills and prioritizing tasks. It's the ability to have foresight and think what can go wrong. We love to say you must be cool, you must be calm as the project manager. Again, sometimes in projects we get thrown in so many different directions. This is one of them, the skills that we must develop. You might say, well, some people might be cooler than others. So the project management mindset, the buzzword. At the end of the day, whatever project that we have to do, we want success. And persons might say, but is it that we have to follow a strategy? Is it that we have to follow a way to run projects from beginning to end? You know, yes, we promote different certifications in project management, and different certifications will, you know, guide us and facilitate the process, you know, facilitate the process for us to do. So, project management mindset. You must be cool. So what exactly is this project management certification, and what does it promote? You know, the life cycle then. So our project management life cycle speaks about every single project. You must initiate, you must plan it, you must execute it, you must monitor it, and you must close out. I don't know. Do you agree? Every project. This is the traditional way of doing projects, right? And again, number of persons would be in project management right here that I'm recognizing. And of course, you can type in the chat anything that you want to say. So you must initiate, you must plan, you must execute, you must monitor, and you must close out. This is a series of steps. So the purpose of having a project management mindset, because persons could be following this, you know, they can say, okay, project, whatever project that I have to do, I have to initiate it, I have to plan it, I have to execute it, I have to monitor it, and I have to close it out. And this is a traditional way of doing projects. Of course, you have the agile way of doing projects. You have many different methodologies that you can use. And of course, I love to call it tacit knowledge, because the book can tell you something, but it really depends now on your experiences, and experience is the greatest teacher, right? And that's what we'll always preach, that experience is the greatest preacher, you know, and you can learn from your experiences. It's all about tacit knowledge that you're supposed to have. And that's how real success in projects really come, you know, from understanding. I've worked in, you might say, oil and gas, and you have run this type of project, and this was the best way to do it. And then Marcus might jump in and say, well, I've worked in IT projects, and over the years, I've said that this is the best way to do it. And then Alwyn, he's in Suriname, and he will say, okay, well, you know, from my experiences there, what I may look at in Trinidad projects can't work in Suriname, people different, and we'll have all those talks. But it all boils down to having the correct mindset, if that is really possible. Could you have the correct mindset to run projects, you know? Because again, you know, the conversation will keep going into this direction, which is that you must initiate something, you must plan it, you must execute it, you must monitor it, and you must close it out. This is a traditional way of doing PM. And yet projects fail. You know, data have shown us continuously that projects are failing. And we can sit here and talk for hours upon hours. And then you would hear everybody getting in conversation and say, well, then why learn this? Why learn this? Is it then that it is not working? You know, the traditional way of doing projects, or this agile way of doing projects. So you all will jump in at any point, and you can tell me if you agree with it. So you have to initiate, you plan, you execute, you monitor and control and close off. This is the traditional way of doing it. And what we are saying, people will still come and say, but yes, Shivani, I follow it, and I had the best possible plan. I had the plan. I was able to plan communication, plan strategy, plan risk, and I have all the documentation down pack. Well, you know, that will be Alwyn. Alwyn is like that. He will have all the documentation down pack, right? Because he's a planner. And a lot of persons here would be planners. However, at the end of the day, you are still seeing that your projects are failing. We are still seeing that projects are failing. Myself, I'm in facilities management. I'll run facilities projects. And I can tell you, the projects not all the time are a success. So, you know, it makes me think, is it then that we are doing something wrong? Is it that we have challenges? And this is where the whole thought process of our mindset comes in. The PM, or cultivating a PM mindset. And what is the PM mindset then? As we said originally, It is the ability to take on a project or task and complete it successfully. This is what your agenda is supposed to be. Our agenda is supposed to take whatever project, whatever is our mandate, and we all here, so we know what is a basic project. You have a start and you have an end time. That is the role of what a project is. That's the purpose of a project. By definition, you have a start and you have an end time. And then you have the ability now, this is our ability as a project management must come into play now. What is the mindset? We have to complete it successfully. But all of that sounds good in a conversation. It sounds good on paper, right? Looks good. How do you do it? It's not just about doing your job, as we said.
Shivani, not cutting across.
Right, let's
right?
hear.
Okay. What you also find is that the project would have a number of tasks. Well, this task A, task B depend on task A and whatnot. And what you find where, especially where the interdependence of tasks, right, where that is concerned, you find the output of one would go into the input of the other task, right? And the performance of the first task, if it does not perform according to plan, it could affect the second task, and then the second one according, and you could have a domino effect of failure in your project. So it's good for you to do the proper risk management on the
upfront. Good.
From upfront,
yes.
Right? Because once you fail in the first task and you have dependencies, right? You find the second one depend on the first one. You may have two depending on depending on the first one, like B and C depending on A, right? And it could have a domino effect, and you're going down failing. So you have to really do monitoring and the controlling from earlier clock.
Good. Thank you, Rodney. So definitely, as you said, to have.
This is one of the things that I recognize too.
Great, Rodney.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. So what we are saying at the end of the day, your project management mindset, you must have good time management skills. And as you said, you must be able to prioritize your tasks properly. All of this is prioritizing, and you must be able to think about what could go wrong, have good risk management, do the first task correct, as you said, plan it out properly, because if you didn't plan it out, you have the domino effect down the road, something else happening. So yes, great, the project management mindset. I just want to continue. And as you said, this is the life cycle. This is what we're sharing. You must initiate, you must plan, you must execute, you must monitor, and you must close out. This is the life cycle. I want to ask some questions here, right? I'm going to ask a little scenarios, and let me find out from you, the audience. Anybody wants to get involved, right? What will you do as a project manager? Because at the end of the day now, folks, how we structure, how we answer situations, because everything, who was saying this, Rodney, everything always doesn't go according to plan. Alwyn will know you have your great plan, Marcus will have his great plan, and yet things not going according to the plan. So what do you do? And this is where the correct mindset and certain skills that you must develop as a project manager makes the difference. We like to say some project managers can really plan on paper, you're really, really good at planning on paper and have all the perfect documentation, but to actually, implement it, it's always another story. And, as we go through different Lunch and Learn series and different project management talks, we'll share project management mindset versus the product mindset, and planning mindset versus the implementation mindset, because it's not just following a system or following a structure. Food for thought. So let me hear, Marcus, you wanted to get involved here. Marcus, let me hear you. Marcus raised his hand. Marcus.
Hey, hi, Shivani, how are you going?
Well, lovely to hear your voice. So I'm going better.
Great. So just to kind of, I think one of the things that I see is having spent the past couple of years doing what Shivani taught me to do, which is I coach other project managers now. And what I find is that project management is not a sterile calling. This is not the professional project management is not in a lab. It's not a theoretical thing. There is a lot of theory and learnings that you have to apply and many tools. But at the end of the day, it's about leading people. Yeah, this is about leading and influencing people. And unfortunately, also, conversation for another time, it's not a skill that I think we teach enough of in the Trinidad education system. So what we have, and apologies to everyone here who's been to UWI or any other local institution, we're good at trading book sets, right? So we get a lot of good technical project managers. And of course, the PMP exam itself, Shivani, focuses on what it can test, which is the theoretical bit. But the leadership bit is really what makes the difference with project management. And particularly in this case that you put up here, at the end of the day, you have to realize it's people that you're working with. So you need to give them, you need to guide them. So you need to show them leadership and to say, this is the direction we're going. This is what we're going to do. And if you go back to your project management principles, you split up the tasks among them, and you have to make sure everyone is absolutely clear on what tasks they have to do. And I always advise, that's where weekly team meetings are not just to get together and gab about the weekend and stuff. Weekly team meetings to say, these are the tasks that John has to do, that Shivani has to do, and Marcus has to do. This is what I expect you guys to be off doing this week. If you have a problem, come and check them, right? And you run them so people know what they're supposed to do. And as a leader, you offer them support and say, look, I am behind you on this. You are there. They are not serving you. You are there to serve them. And I think once you pin that down, then you're halfway there, or most of the way there towards accountability, which is really what you want there. You want people to be accountable of what they do. And guess what? At the same time, you're raising morale and you're getting people focused on the goal. I think this is a people thing, clearly, Shivani.
Great. Thank you, Marcus, so far in the conversation. So great points that you brought up. One of the main points, well, you brought up many points, but the correct mindset is all about understanding people, right? The people and leading people and facilitating a process. A lot of times, project managers, we become so process oriented, and I have seen it a lot in certain technical skills, right? I'm talking in two key areas, facilities management and IT, also technology. And we so focus on what are the processes and what are the processes. And by the time you finish, the whole project is a failure because you forget about people engaging. You also spoke about servant leadership, and you have to serve people. And that's the type of thinking that project management must encourage. We must encourage that mindset. So two main points that you brought up: people, you must talk about people. You are talking about leading people. And a project manager is really a facilitator. We are facilitating the process to occur. We are facilitating the process. So we could be really good at the processes, but you have to be better at people. Because I have seen over the years, and I'm sure you are in agreement too, persons can be excellent at their trade, whatever their industry is. You run IT, you know IT, but coming to do with the people aspect, failure happens. So again, as you correctly say, Marcus, it is all from your experience. So yes, we are PMPs, we know all these and degrees and masters and all of these things. But at the end of the day, it's a practical approach to project management.
And Shivani, I just want to add one more thing to what you said, is that I don't know any project manager who's ever delivered a project by themselves, full stop. That's just not what the field is about. So if it's a field, there are plenty of programmers who write software by themselves. There are plenty architects who design their stuff on their own and they hand it over to somebody to build after. Yeah. But project managers, I don't know of a single project manager who's delivered a project by themselves.
Perfect. Well said. And the term we always use, Marcus, is managing through the productivity of others. Managing through the productivity of others. You brought up the conversation early. Managing through the productivity of others. We're not doing it by ourselves. I say in facilities management, I'm not changing the bulb. right? I'm not doing it by myself. It's all are we then, you know, that's what we say, all are we. So what would we do as a project manager in this scenario? So I want to read this. Some of us read it already, and let me hear you all. And then we'll discuss, hey, we developing a mindset, correct? What would you do as a project manager here? Imagine this. Your team is working on a project. You are 80% through the project. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the project is halted due to some unforeseen issue. Then what? Then the blame game begins. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's you, right? That's your project, right? Team members try to pin the project failure on other team members. Guess what is happening? A positive work environment is going for a loss. It's a toss-up here. It is crucial to make teams feel responsible and take accountability for their assigned duties. Accountability in the team refers to taking responsibility for your actions and tasks. Even if one person in the group lacks accountability, it is bound to affect the overall project cycle with delayed deadlines, poor quality of work, and ultimately project failure. This happens all the time. I'm sure many persons have experienced this. Right, so I'm now reading the chat, and some people have been saying, sounds like project management is about managing people to get the project done successfully, and very, very true. That is very, very true. Great, great. Based on Marcus' contribution, it's safe to say that PM is heavily steeped in leadership and mentorship. Excellent, correct, very, very true. So what would you do as a project manager in this case? So could I ask anybody to get into the conversation now? Anyone who's here and would like to take a shot of it. So what would you do? This is happening to us. This is happening now. Your team is working on a project. You're 80%, and the project is stopped due to some unforeseen, and everybody is blaming everybody. So at the end of the day now, you got to get this project back on track. You got to get this project back on track. How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you get the project back on track? What do you do? So we have let me see who's going to get involved. Alwyn, I'm seeing Alwyn, yeah? What would you do? How would you get this project back on track? What would you do? We're not hearing Alwyn. See Nigel. I wonder if I could ask Nigel. Oh, Dennis has raised his hand. Dennis, yeah? Dennis, let's hear you, Dennis.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi,
excellent question. Yes, excellent question. How do we get back the project intact? And normally we, as I think as Nigel, someone said before, we are so academically trained. I did project management as well at the university, and we are trained in that way. But now when you are put on in the field and you're operating with people, there comes a time, as your question would say, when things go wrong, we tend now to blame this one and blame that one. But I think a project manager first has to see himself or herself as a leader. When we get that mindset, a mindset is something that is really important to have, which in a way, you can say a fixed mental attitude or a disposition that predetermines a person's response to and interpretations of situations. Now, we may not have studied a lot of mindset and leadership training in project management, as far as I know, in the university, though it's an excellent course. So our ability to lead is so crucial here. And I remember reading about this guy, Jack Welch. Jack Welch says the world will belong to passionate, driven leaders, people who not only have enormous amounts of energy, but who can energize those whom they lead. And I think that ability to energize persons around us, not just taking the blame, but being good listeners, what it is, and questions at the steering wheel of the mind. If we can ask the right questions and the right time to the right people, we can now focus as to what may be the problem. Instead of blaming this one, blaming that one, because our ego comes up and we may not be taught much about the ego, how the ego affects our productivity, affects our relationship with others. We try to save face. So Siobhan, not to get too much in too deep in the conversation, but I'm thinking about our mindset has to do with our behavior, our attitude, who we are. Do we know where we are? Do we know our portfolio
Right.
as a leader?
I think
Others are wrong. Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
Right. I think
Rodney?
what I gather you're saying there too also is you should have like open communication, and it's not like a blame game, right? You know, you listen to everyone contribution, and show them that no matter what you value their contribution. So you allow them to sort of open up and be innovative and say, okay, what is the problem, and be innovative in terms of how do we solve this problem, so
Excellent.
so this is what and let them know that okay, projects are challenging, but at the same time we have to try to motivate them and develop them, through the challenges, work with the team, be, like you say, be a good facilitator, so the team wouldn't look at you as an enemy or for, be timid to input,
Thanks.
and,
Is your name Rodney?
emphasizing.
Is Rodney speaking? I'm not
Rodney,
sure.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Yes.
Right, and you keep emphasizing, like teamwork, that sort of a thing. So in that way, the team would open up, right? And you probably would better be able to get down to the root cause of the root cause of the problem. This is what I feel.
So yes, Rodney.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great, Dennis. So what you all are both contributing here, you all are really talented persons. As a project manager, it's much more than understanding the technical aspects of the job. You realize both of you all we are all saying it. You all are very right. And your experience is saying that you have to energize people. You have to energize. And I love that word, Dennis, what you said. You have to energize people. Rodney, you spoke about you have to be able to communicate effectively. And I also love to say that you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to listen. So that's a trait that I had to develop, and teaching you're able to develop that better. I think as a teacher, you are able to develop the listening trait, because sometimes you just want to, as in PM when I'm running
It's
projects,
like
I'm
open
telling people,
communication.
open communication. And as you say, in practical, I'll just say, all right, well, this is how you're going to do it. This is how you're going to do it. But as a teacher, the teaching aspect, it allows you now that, hey, you have to listen to the student. The student might tell you something. So I have taken that trait then into practical. That's what I'm trying to say, Rodney and Dennis, and you all are right, that you have to be able to communicate effectively, and energizing people is one of the best words. I love that. Change it. So I had one of my directors, right? And I was telling them, sometimes you're walking in a room, and Dennis, you'll understand what I'm saying. You feel bad vibes. You want to know what kind of energy is this? But you as a PM, you could change that energy. You could change that energy into positive, and everybody start to talk, and you get the point across. Again, this is what you have to do. And you correctly said, we don't learn these things in PM. We don't learn these things in traditional PM. But I'm sure, Dennis, you'll sign up for the course on PM mindset after, right? On energizing. How do you energize? How do you develop the mindset? So, both of you all are really talking. These are the skills. These are the most important skills. These are the most important skills a PM must have. Their mindset. Dennis, you wanted to say anything again?
Okay. I like your point, Shivani. And one thing, we have to differentiate ourselves from being a manager compared to a leader. A leader to me is so different to a manager who just, see how processes and policies and so on operate. A leader is one who is people oriented.
Yeah.
And that leader, understanding people precedes leading them.
Mhm.
If we don't understand them, how could we lead them, much less manage them?
Yeah.
So these are the areas and mindset that a leader must have, that proper mindset of how can I best lead? People do not care how much we know until they know how much we care.
Yeah.
And these are really nuggets a leader is supposed to have in their artillery to help move forward a particular project.
Great, great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much so far. Then we have Prudence. I think Prudence was going to point out something. Prudence, you want to take the floor? I saw Prudence, your hand was up. Okay, not getting you. All right, Vindra had a point here. Let me read Vindra's point. Dennis was just speaking. Oh, okay, Marcus. Dennis was just speaking about asking, listening questions. I clearly remember Shivani teaching in classroom about breaking down each stage of project management into questions, which give way to more questions, and listening to the answers is what gives you the information you need for the success of your project. Great point, Marcus. Thanks for that. Vindra, have a project meeting with the key stakeholders to identify what went wrong and how it affects the project going ahead. Come up with a plan to identify how to go on, assign tasks, and follow up with communication. So again, this happens in front of you, right? This happens all the time. What do? You don't want people to be blaming everybody, because once that blame happens, this project is doomed for failure. And now your true skills come into play. Somebody's asking, who's getting into the door?
Somebody to blame.
Yeah, somebody to blame. You want somebody to blame. Great. So solutions already here, right? So once you get in the conversation, if you want to just raise your hand and I'll call you up, right? So the solution, I mean, what would you really do in this case? A solution, you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to understand. Now, this is where I believe the role of the project manager comes into play, the true leadership role, because the project manager needs to make sure everybody understands their role. You have to be able to understand your role, each person's role, that is, and the responsibility. Persons also, as the PM, I have to remember it's a lot about people. It's all about people rather than process. Sometimes things go wrong, and how do you get back? How do you listen? How do you listen? So listening is great. Breaking down stuff is what you said, Marcus, to be able, the ability to break down. I love to use the word granularity. You must be granular. You must be able to break it down. You must see the big picture, overall. The term is synergy, where the sum is greater than its parts. A lot of times you're in projects in reality, practical, and you're not seeing the whole thing, because a lot of times people are trained, to do things in pockets. And that's all you see. You just see the pocket, this is the silo, and this is how you're going to do the thing. But it's much more than that. And we want to develop the mindset. So solution, people have to develop accountability. Now, one thing I wanted to share with us, sometimes some people get a little carried away with this, with the leadership aspect. They believe that, yes, you have to listen and you listen and you listen to people, and it's all about bringing in new ideas and people and all of that. But don't forget you have processes to follow too. I've seen some leaders, because I'm involved in a lot of executive coaching, right? And I've seen that they have developed that leadership because now they've been taught that you have to lead and you have to listen to people and take new ideas and come about with this. But they forgot all the processes there and they failed. So they were really good at one aspect, but they failed the other aspect, which was the traditional way of doing things. You have to have a balance. So I'm not saying, as we leave this conversation on mindset, that you forget process mindset and you just concentrate on people mindset, you will have some failure. It's got to have a balance between people and process. Great. So what do you do in this case? What is the solution? Well, this is just a little part of the solution, and you all spoke about it already. clearly define each individual's roles and responsibility for the task assigned to them. Try to direct teams towards a shared business vision. It helps team members to take responsibility for their role in the project. So what I have seen, you have all your people working with you and everybody doing their pieces, that's a process way of doing the job. Everybody doing their little piece. And the project manager is not understanding that it must all be part of a vision. What is the business vision? Does everybody understand it? Well, sometimes the PM don't even understand what they're doing. And if they're on a project and they don't understand why they're doing it, well, this project will fail, right? But that's a whole different conversation, the why of the project. And you have to find out, we have to find out as the PM. If you don't understand the why, you can't manage or lead anybody. Sometimes we are placed in those kind of situations in projects. And that's another talk in what do you have to do. I like to call it selling project management to senior executives. A lot of people, we don't do that, right? Selling PM to senior executives. But the point that we're bringing home here as one of the most important aspects of a mindset is synergy, where the sum is greater than its parts. Everybody must understand their role, right? Everybody must understand their role. It's once you're with people, as you know, Dennis, as once you know what a team, Marcus, you're going to have some type of disagreement. Everybody's different. And we welcome that in a team. Everybody can't think the same way. If everybody thinking the same way, you're never going to have innovation and creativity. And that's what you want coming out of a project, you want innovation and you want creativity. Many things to come from that. So you know that person's going to disagree. They're going to say, well, that deliverable that you wanted to produce there, we could do it a different way. Great, the PM should welcome it. We should welcome that type of conversation. And that's why we said at the beginning, the PM is a facilitator. Once you remember that, your project will be a success because you know you're dealing with people, you're leading people, as you said. And Dennis, as you correctly said, you have to energize, you have to motivate. You walk in a room and bam, the energy, you could change the energy. I strongly believe in that, that you can change it. So clearly define each individual's role, understand what people have to do. I have been in some projects already and working with some people, and people don't understand what they have to do, they don't understand. So then once I'm involved in the project, I say, this is my responsibility. I have to ensure that Dennis knows what he has to do, Marcus knows what they have to do. If you're not, you're not a successful PM at all. And the purpose that we have to do is ensure that we make everybody understand the shared business vision. It's all a we, as we said, it's not one person alone. And things can go well like this. But yes, this is a mindset. This is something, it's a way to think, right? It's much more than just saying, if I had the perfect plan, everything will go great. You and I both know there's no such thing as a perfect plan in reality. I mean, yes, I preach it all the time. You could plan and you could plan and you could plan. But as I tell everybody, planning is only one aspect. It's how you implement it. It's how you implement it. Great. I want to ask
so at the end of the day, when you complete your deliverables, you find you'll have more appreciation. The team will have more appreciation in the sense that they all know that they contributed together as a team to the deliverable,
Great. I think Yulene is talking about what you are saying too.
That sort of a thing.
Yeah, and Yulene here is on the chat and she's mentioning, I will also remind the team of how much we have already accomplished. That is very true. And you're saying the same thing. This is what we have done so far. Look at what we have done together, as you said. How many milestones we have already executed as a way to re-energize and focus them to the end goal. Well, I love that. I love that point. That is a point. And that's why we say you could re-energize. You could get people refocused into the thing. You can. And this is our role in PM, Dennis, let's hear you. Dennis raised his hand.
Yeah, I like what you said earlier when knowing one's role and responsibility, excellent. And I'm also looking at, I did a little research, a study, and Goldsmith and University and the University of Houston, they came up with something called transformational thoughts, where people decision usually comes 8 seconds prior to their conscious thinking. So we may be doing a project and we may be making decisions, but depending on what I would call our subconscious, what is in there, may override what we may be saying or want to say, right? So a decision occurs before the person is aware of it consciously. That's why I think Henry Ford said, if you think you can't do a thing, or you think you can't do a thing, you're right. So sometimes we don't think too much about what is happening in the psyche of a person, the self-esteem. You know, are we working in the zone of our strength? Or are we putting somebody where they are not as strong and their psyche also, I don't think I can make this. I don't think I'm good enough. So sometimes I think, Shivani, that our psyche, which is our mindset as well, may be influenced by negativity, what's down there in the subconscious level. I'm just saying that just shortly, you know.
But that's a main point, and you know, we call it mindfulness for leadership. That's mindfulness for leadership, and these are things that you have to develop. Yeah, you have to develop. Yes, and if you feel you could do it, you'll do it. So great. And Andrea is also talking about encouragement. You have to encourage. Great. So here's another point, and all of us, you know, in this very interesting case now, what should you do as a project manager here? You may often ignore a particular project due to another project. So a lot of times, or a lot of us here, we are working on multiple projects, right? That's a responsibility that you have. Overall projects are responsible for significant inefficiencies and wasted resources. They may even bring the other project to a complete halt and hinder potential benefits. To handle multiple tasks, you need to learn to prioritize each project's life cycle. Suppose there is project A and project B. Both are ongoing projects, and you have to allocate time and resources for both projects. How are you going to efficiently manage to deliver both projects with limited resources and limited time frame? You may have encountered the situation multiple times and found yourself at loggerheads in the middle of both projects. What would you do as a project manager here? You have 2 projects and you have to allocate time and resources for both. How could you deliver both of them with limited resources and the time frame? That's my Monday morning dilemma, I think, a lot of times, and a lot of times that's how we are. So what would you do? What would you do here? What should you do as the project manager here? And feel free, raise your hand, get in the convo. See, Alexander, his mic is open. You wanted to say something? See. Right.
And Shivani, I will try to encourage other people to give their ideas of how they address this. But as a professional project manager, right, and a consultant who has multiple clients, I deal with this all the time because, you know, and I can show you a chart where I chart my work effort, and it helps not only in how I build my clients, but on the work that I allocate. And I can clearly see sometimes where I'm clearly over allocated as a resource on the project, right? And I would encourage people to just, you know, like, I want to hear what other people think about this, but I think this is where you really need to, there's a project management, they train you how to do this, you are taught how to do change management, and this is a reality of projects. You need to be able to know when resources, if you break down all the tasks, you know when everything is due, and you know, then you apply change management to that, because inevitably you're going to have to shift things around and around deliverables, and you're not going to shift the most critical ones, are you? You're going to try to prioritize and get with that. But I think the real secret behind it is something about communication with your stakeholders, to know what that is and to get, because you are influencing the movement of sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds of people, and the work that they do in separate projects all the time. And it's that clarity of communicating that. So you bring in a lot of skills on that. So I really want to hear what other people think about that, and if they've ever had challenges like that.
So your point then, Marcus, what you're saying, what you will do here is think about change management. Yeah. Marcus, so far, change and communication.
For sure, that's one of the major tools in, but you have to know what it is that your tasks are and prioritize it. So before you can do the change management, you really have to be clear on what tasks are due when, and what slack you may be that you have in any projects at all,
Great, thank you, Marcus. Dennis, let's hear you. Your hand is up. What's your contribution?
Sorry, I had my hand up all the time. I suppose I've put it down, but I will still give my
yes, I'm sure.
sense,
Thank
as
you.
you said.
Yeah.
One, we can look at profitability. You have a limited time resource.
Yeah.
Which one of these two, A or B, would give the greater profitability in that time frame? And then we have to look realistically, can I achieve A? Can I achieve B? Which one can I achieve in the time frame? Don't try to achieve B in a time frame that is not suitable. Go where it is more realistic. Social effect. How do I look at the social environment, the stakeholders, as Rodney said? What effect would I have upon them? Would they see me as, I have to communicate clearly. So if I, for some reason, cannot get through to finishing project A, let's go to the person, the stakeholder, and say, hey, here, and if you came up. So communication with your stakeholders, your parties, profitability, realistic thinking, and zone of strength, getting people to work in their zone of strength. Maybe something was holding back somebody and they were placed in the wrong position where they could have been in a better position to execute better. I just want to stop there.
Great, great. And I see two participants have raised their hands. Let's see who they are. Two persons. Let me take their hands, right? Let me see their hands. Who's raising their hands? I'm not seeing. I saw somebody's talking.
Yeah.
Ronnie?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Shivani. What I think you also have to look at is like resource, how to call it, resource optimization.
Yeah.
Right? Because here is a case where you would have the over allocation. I think what is over allocation of resources where you might be really stretched. So you have to think about some sort of using whatever tools and technique in terms of like resource leveling, resource smoothing. I mean, you have to be, thinking along those lines also, how you're shifting resources. If you have to shift resources, if you have to shift activities, what it will do to your timeline, and, that sort of a thing. Along those kind of lines, you have to look at those tools and techniques, resource optimizing. Along those lines, also be focusing, shifting around resources or shifting around activities and seeing what it will be doing to your schedule.
Thank you. Great, Rodney. Thank you. So some excellent points thus far. Alwyn, could we bring you in a convo? I saw your hand is up. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. So in addition to what has been shared already, what I would offer is that if you're looking at prioritizing competing projects, you would really have to look, well, assuming that it's for the same, the projects are being completed within the same organization, you would have to, I think somebody hinted at it, you would have to look at the focus of each project, its aims and objectives now and in the future, and try to balance those two. I think Marcus hinted at it, looking at which resources you have and what's the best use of those resources now And in the future, not only trying to make a decision now, but you're looking long term. You would also have to look at the attendant activities for each A and B, right? And again, which align to the aims and objectives of each project. And then, of course, I think somebody else hinted at, again, what are the external factors, forces, or drivers which may impact project A or project B? And you take those into account in your decision-making process as well. And then finally, I think probably the most important, what are the risks involved in A or B, undertaking A and or B separately or together, right? And again, how those risks impact the ability to complete either project.
Thank you, Alwyn. So some great stuff you said about focus, you talk about value, you spoke about risk. You spoke about risk, and it's all, and Rodney also spoke about resource optimization. Great. And Dennis shared some great points for us here. Great. Somebody spoke about, I'm very new, my background is marketing, so now fact finding the industry. Great. No, but yeah, wasn't a basic for you at all. It was great points. I will first look at the items they need my input to move forward while I work on others, farm out or delegate the items that may not be critical but needs attention and can be supervised later. So you're prioritizing. Yes, you're prioritizing. That's a key skill to have, to be able to prioritize. You know, and it comes down again that your mindset, you can't be, you have to be cool, you have to understand how to prioritize. Great. So thanks for that, all of the persons who got into the chat, whether you spoke or whether you just typed for us. Thank you for that. All right, so what is the solution? All of us gave great points, but I want to share this also. Get complete visibility into the project task of all your projects. And in a nutshell, that's what you're always saying, you know, you have to see everything. Estimate the time, the cost, the scope to prioritize. Assess the potential value of each project to decide which project and which task gets priority. We have to talk about value. It's a value-based thinking. That's our mindset in project management. You have to understand the business value of your project. And that's what you have to know about, the why of something. So be prepared to integrate change control if uncertain circumstances crop up. You know, could you handle change management? So both conversations here, both cases or both little scenarios really showed us, as a project manager, you must develop the people mindset. Yes, you will have to understand processes, but you must understand people. You must be able to energize, motivate, lead people. It's not only about being a very technical person in whatever field that you are. Sometimes you are so technical and the project can fail because you forget that is much more. That is not your role as a PM. Our role as a PM is integration. So, so much more that we can discuss. And I know we'll see you all again. Project management mindset. So these are key takeaways that I want us to leave with in this 1 hour conversation, because we're going to talk about this for hours upon hours and we'll have follow-ups. Project management mindset. You must have a learning and development mindset. As a PM, and I already getting involved here and just listening to some of you, we know that's who you are as a PM. It's learning and development, right? Once you have that type of thinking that I don't know everything and I want to learn, things will happen even better on your project. And my experience in developing a proper PM mindset, I learned something from everybody on the team. Everybody teaches me something on the team. I would learn from the custodian in facilities management to the engineer to the director, everyone on the team. And that's what you have to remember. Don't think that you're only learning from the top, you know. The lowest level teaches you something. When as PMs, you forget that, your project will fail. Your people will, you learn the most from them. You learn the most from them. Listen. Another aspect that I want you to take away, part of your mindset, is change management. We saw that with COVID. A lot of times companies fail, business models fail because they do not want to change. They might even know how to change. It's the ability to pivot. Look at this. I love to use the example of sailing. You know, you're sailing a boat, and when the wind change, you have to see, you have to pivot. You have to change differently. Otherwise, you'll sink. Your ship will sink. So change management. And your mindset, your key takeaway again, people versus process. Value thinking. Do you understand the value of the project that we are working on? Your mindset must be one of innovation and creativity. You have to develop it. I believe all of these things can be taught. Huh? You have to have an observant mind. You know, the joke with everybody, I might be walking around. The technique is MBWA, managing by wandering around. And people might look at me in the office and they might say, but Shivani, what's she doing? She's just walking around. But I'm walking around with a purpose, you know. I'm getting so many ideas just by watching people. I'm observing. And that is going to help me to probably run this project a little better. And it's your ability to ask questions. You have to have an inquisitive mind. They have to be able to be a good mako, right? So observe the ability to ask questions. And again, these are just some aspects of the mindset. There's so much more. But what I want us to leave with, folks, the key takeaways is to understand that to run a successful project, we have to develop the mindset. It's a lot of different points stemming from leadership to creativity, to innovation, risk management, being able to work around so many different. We call it in management, we'll talk is soft skills. I always tell people there's nothing soft about that. It's really power skills now. It's really power skills. There's nothing soft about this at all. Right? It's more power skills. So before I close off, let me ask anybody if they would like to say anything, and then I'll do closing comments. Right. So a couple seconds. Anybody would like to say anything?
Well, when you talk about observant mind and the management by walking around, I thought about osmotic communication.
Osmotic. Yes. And osmotic
yeah,
is not putting a book on your head then, Rodney.
Yeah, right.
Osmotic, yeah, but you know, it's a joke that we have, but it's really true. You know, osmosis. You're just walking and you're listening. That's a key skill. Actually, that's an agile management, agile project management team that I love to use. Thank you, Rodney.
And you gain information as you offer.
And you get Thank you. Andrea said, raise her hand. Let's hear.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am very new to this. I'm not into the field at all, actually. I am far from. I am actually a housewife. And I have my own personal projects going on. And I'll have to say this was a very informative forum. And I am glad for everyone's input. It helps me to I really took away some good points. I really put some pen to paper with all these points, and I am very thankful to speak to and hear everyone's view today. So thank you. And Ms. Shivani, wonderful forum.
Great, Andrea, and I know we will see you back here, right here again. So Prudence also has her hand up. Prudence, anything you would like to talk about?
Yes, hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, just to add to what, not add actually, just to basically agree with what Andrea would have said as well. Great forum and thanks for this, because what I would have taken away from this is that project management is definitely more of a servant leadership style. And I am very new to this as well. And where before I would have had this thought that there's a sort of disconnect, or there's a vast difference between the workers and the project manager. If anything, the project manager is the one who would have to humble themselves. There's no, that hierarchy where before, maybe that's an old time thinking where you'd have project managers being seen as, yes, they are the bosses of the project itself, but more like there's this level where they don't quite engage, and project management is definitely an engaging field.
Great. Thank you for that, Prudence. Thank you. It's an engaging field, as you correctly said. So I have the poll up, feel free, type it in, any information that you like to give us as we collect data on how persons view projects and what level that you are on. because project management is about data driven too, right? Data driven, and that's what we're doing here. So thanks for that. Great. So thank you everyone for participating in our, once again, our Caribbean Connect Lunch and Learn series on this aspect. On Tuesday was on project management mindset. Next week, Tuesday, we have another great conversation on meditation and Reiki, actually. And we look forward to continuing some more project management talks on right here on Caribbean Connect.
Yeah.
I look forward to also, seeing you all in some of our upcoming training programs. Some of us are already PMPs. And of course, if you're not, you would be very interested to sign up for our PMP. But also, besides those traditional programming, we have a project management mindset training course and some agile project management, the Y of PM. So look out for a lot of our training courses where you can get involved. Thanks again, everybody. We look forward, and of course, Lunch and Learn every Tuesday. And also connect with me, please, Shivani Sinrine on LinkedIn, where I have a lot of audio events coming up also on project management audio events where we have a global audience. So thank you very much for this. I look forward. It was an exciting time, and I'm definitely going to see you all in some upcoming training. Thanks again, everyone. Signing
Okay,
off.
thanks. Thanks. Okay.